Being born in the modern age, the environment that we grew up in is our normal. We don't really think much about it. We are just absorbed in our worlds, thinking that everyone lives in the same way and that life has always been like this and everyone is born with the same fate. When we become teenagers, we get more exposed to the bigger world. We start to watch more news, we follow people online, and it becomes more apparent that other people live different than us, and that we all have different circumstances where some people are just more fortunate than others. And yet we still don't really think much about it. We remain absorbed in our own lives. We feel entitled, that we deserve things in the world. And we take all that we have for granted and feel that it is not enough. To the point where we completely forget that being born in the modern age and having a safe and somewhat stable life is an extremely rare and lucky experience that we should all appreciate. And all you need to realize that is to see how unfortunate and worse life used to be in the past. The perspective shift that occurred in my life these past years is something that I still can't wrap my head around. Back when I was in Syria and being a teenager, I was simply a spoiled little brat. I had everything come easy to me, and my family wasn't really rich, but we weren't poor either. So I got everything that I wanted, and I had more than many other people in my neighborhood. And my family wasn't strict, unlike many other families from my culture. Life just felt easy. I never had struggles or hardships back then, and that made me really entitled and impatient. I wanted things right now, and I looked at other people who had less than me and watched the news with my parents and saw how terrible things happen around the world, but that never really affected me. I just didn't care, and my life was all that mattered. I never appreciated anything and took everything for granted. Nothing was ever enough, and all I wanted was having more and more, and all I did most of the time is complain. When the war in Syria happened and I left the country with my family and then eventually left my family to be on my own, and I traveled through different countries and had a lot of moments of hardship, and I started to see how different people live in different cultures, how everyone is just consumed with their own lives and problems. And after meeting all of these people and traveling, I started to feel very small, that I am a nobody and my life isn't really special. And that's when the shift started to happen. I started to slowly realize that my struggles and all the things that I have been through were really small compared to the struggles of many people in the world. And the moment that made that realization sink on an even deeper level was when I started to read books and understand past events. I read a lot about how people used to live before the modern age, how we slowly evolved, and how life used to be completely different back then. Things were just so much more difficult, where danger, hunger, wars, and famine was just everywhere. Reading and gaining all of that knowledge actually made me wake up to the world, wake up to the fact and to the reality that we avoid yet so often, or don't even think about at all, that our existence is a very rare and random occurrence. And in that tiny chance of us being born, it is even more rare to be born in this moment in time, where life has gotten so much better than it used to be, where humanity has been through so many brutal, crazy, and depressing events to reach this modernized version of life, where we have learned so much from our mistakes to improve the quality of the human life. And the first time I realized that, I was really shocked and felt that I was so lucky to be born in this moment of time. Life can be hard and brutal. This is a fact that we all wake up to eventually when we face struggles and hardships. And yet, when things are going well in our lives, we take everything that we have for granted and we get angry and complain over insignificant things, and we get stuck in our own bubbles. I was always falling in that trap, and I still do sometimes. But honestly, after I gained all of that knowledge about life and the human existence in it, I started to appreciate my life so much more than I used to. Would I rather live in any other era of humanity instead of this? Absolutely not. Why would I? Sure, life used to be simple, but it was a big mess. We were thinking about survival the whole time, and there was just a lot of misery and ignorance in the world. Being alive in this moment, I can sleep in a warm bed, I can have a hot shower, I can do different things that bring me joy and happiness. I can travel to most countries in this world with ease and security, and I have an insane amount of information at the tip of my fingers. Every time I notice that I am making a big deal out of small things and that I am taking things for granted, I bring that thought back to my mind. How life has changed so much, and the mere chance of me existing in this moment of time where I have all of these different luxuries that people in the past wouldn't even be able to comprehend or imagine. This thought really brings me humility and makes me feel gratitude. And it might have that effect on your life too. We are really insignificant in the grand scheme of things and in the span of time of the whole cosmos. Not everyone in the modern age have the same luxuries that I and many other people do. There are still people surviving every day in Syria, in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Israel, and many other places in the world. And some people still don't have food or water or even a bed to sleep in. And there are children who are being born in such circumstances where their dreams are just so small because they don't know any better. And that truly sucks and can be really depressing to think about. But the way I try to see it is that life has always been filled with misery and hardships. And we all have different circumstances and luck in this world. It is just something that we have to accept. Though if we compare how things were to how they are now, humanity has gotten so much better. And the amount of people dying from wars, hunger, and basic human needs is so much less than before. Our pain and struggles will never completely fade away. But I'd rather focus on the things that are positive, improving and getting better, and appreciate them, because we could lose all of them in a matter of seconds.